Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of my Let's Play World of Tanks. We're rocking out here with our AT-8, which is fully upgraded, and I figured since I actually had a really good game in this thing, I'd bring it over as a replay here, and actually discuss what I did, and what made it a good game, and what tactic here is pretty important that worked for me, and just how to utilize it. So, something as slow as an AT-8, typically you expect it to be a tank that just sits there, kind of a front line, well, if it can make it to the front line in time, but it just kind of sits there, takes hits, dishes out hits, just trades back and forth, especially at tier like this, where it's, I'm one of the many top tiers of my tier, but it's going to be just a shootout and a shooting gallery left and right, no sense in, doing anything fancy, and plus I'm a slow tank, so I'm going to find my one place and be happy there. So, that's something that you might want to get out of the predictive habit of, is expecting people to go where you think they're going to go. Well, I'll leave it at that for right now. But anyway, having fully upgraded this tank, it's still slow as dirt, but the cannon is vastly improved. It's gone from a... that guy just rams the I want you guys to see that. He rammed the E8, and the E8 took 10 damage, and it did full damage to that Stuart. That was just strange. But that's not the only strange thing. But anyway, so with the fully upgraded cannon, this thing is much better, much more playable. If you guys remember me from early on playing this tank, I kept complaining about just how difficult it is because the gun on it couldn't penetrate anything. I just had terrible I don't think I ever got top tier until I actually upgraded the gun. Just had such a difficult time actually making it work. I would have had to switch to premium rounds, and even then, you're not talking that much of a benefit. But yeah, so just running this thing as it sits, now that it's fully upgraded, vastly different tank, much better. Still a little difficult because it's a, it's a 4.5 second reload, and it's only dishing out, about $1.50 for damage, give or take. But still, it's not too shabby, or is it 170? Either or. But yeah, still, it does very, very well in terms of its damage for its tier, and it can fire relatively fast. It just doesn't have a nice big hit like you would hope and want if you've been playing high tiers and step back to this thing. But yeah, so as I trudged down this whole flank, we noticed no one's here. They're all sitting over yonder, by and large. Almost everybody's over there, and I'm just running unopposed. And when you get something, and I was talking to my buddy about this, when you get something as deadly and powerful as a British TD, like a Tortoise, or the AT-8 fully upgraded and up, you're talking about some serious armor that's coming in from behind that you're going to have a tough time dealing with. Usually how you deal with an AT-8 is, long engagements, being able to snipe at it, reducing the fact that it can only do light damage. But no, now that I have this thing behind their lines, I'm just going to be able to rapid fire into them all day and night. Especially here on stuff like this guy's going to have to snapshot if he wants to hurt me. And we're talking easy stuff to deal with. But of course I can outfire him, take care of him that way. Now that I'm behind their lines, I can just direct, well, not behind, but I'm like on par with their lines. And it's just going to be easy shots all day and night because people have to turn to adjust to fire at me. They don't have that time to aim, as hopefully we'll see with this guy. See, he just pops a shot, he isn't able to do anything because it's so long a range, isn't ready and able to aim at me without me just pummeling him. So he's already taking heavy damage. And I mean, same thing with this Churchill, is he's just sitting here. He has me firing at the front of him. He has a VK3002M behind him. So we've got a nice little pincer move on almost their entire flank and lane here, with a lot of tanks that are going to have a very difficult time penetrating this AT-8. So as you can see, it's already pulling back the vast majority of tanks from this center area. The force over in this area was able to overcome them, just simply have no other reason than the fact that a lot of people either A, had to retreat, or B, take pause at the fact that they had a whole flank just completely open and exposed for not only an AT-8, but a E8 as well that was back here. I don't want to take credit away from him. The E8 also is drawing a heck of a lot of fire and doing stuff too. So kudos on everybody that came down this flank over here, just simply causing them to have to at least take pause, have to retreat back from the lines over on this end, and that caused a lot of issues for them and actually sealed a lot of their fate, because now they're down to 4 tanks. They don't have much in the way of support or ability to really deal with any sort of tanks coming their way, because again, now they have that heavy armor behind them, so if they turn to face my tank, which is a heavily armored tank that they're going to have to actually sit there and deal with instead of, trying to zoom around and poke in and poke out, they're now having to just hold still to get those aim shots in, that they're going to have people coming in behind them and taking care of them from behind where they're weaker. Whereas if they were to let me shoot them in the side and the back, well, then I'm still going to rail them all day and night, no problems. So that was a lucky shot there. Luckily, I know exactly where to aim on this tank to take care of him. He, on the other hand, looks like he's either not rocking the big gun or he doesn't know where to aim. So there he finally gets a shot off at me, but it looks like it's the weaker gun. He's firing twice as fast as me. So he's able to go through my turret up, or not turret, but cupola up top. But I know to aim for that little gun that is right there on the, as I'm pointing to my screen. The cupola is the one weak spot. The other weak spot is the other gun that's on the side. That cannot be penetrated, or that can be penetrated by everything. So there you have it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats for this one, and we'll jump into one other battle. So as we take a look here, we can see that Steel Wall and Sniper were 2 medals that I got for this thing, getting a fantastic 3,000 experience as a double, and 3,700 credits, or 37,000 credits. Yes, can't do math. Anyway, so bouncing all those shells was great from that, what was it, probably the Churchill, the AT-8 was probably another one, and I don't think anything else really had any shots at me, but all 5 targets that I hit, I killed, minus that, that little Stuart at the beginning, which I half tempted to shoot if he made it past the Easy 8, but sadly he rammed into the Easy 8 and took full damage. You tell me how that one worked out. But yeah, so not a bad little match there. We'll go ahead and look at the team score, and we see that I was up on top with 2,000 damage and doing 1,000 experience earned, 2 medals. The rest of our team contributing fairly well as well. That huge flank on the right-hand side of the map made a big deal, and the fact that a bunch of us were able to get on the left-hand side of the map and just charge all the way down, that was just the sealing of the fate right there. They put no tanks over there to defend, and that made all the difference, getting a bunch of tanks behind them that way and causing them to have to panic behind their lines. So the detailed reports, we see I took a total of 13 shots, 4 of those were penetrating, and of that I sustained a total of 1,120 damage. In the return aspect though, 16 shots fired, 16 hits, 16 pins. Every shot fired was a penetrating hit, which was a lucky for some of those shots that were just auto-aim shots, dealing a total of 2,000 damage, which isn't bad at all. So there you have it, nice little easy battle wrap up there, and we'll go ahead and jump into another battle. So in the last battle I had mentioned that one of the main aspects of the changing of a tank here is upgrading it fully, and when you have a unupgraded tank versus a fully upgraded tank, it is almost a completely different game, and that is of course the issue that this tank has, the VK4502B Bravo, is the fact that basically without that upgraded turret, I don't have access to the upgraded gun system, which I have on other tanks, and more or less it is basically an extended Tiger II that has the ability to side scrape very, very well, and by side scrape I mean you pull up perpendicular to a building, reverse a bit, and shoot over your own shoulder, and allowing shots to deflect off your side armor, because your side armor has almost a 20 or less degree angle as to where they're going to be shooting. So there'll be an automatic bounce at that rate, or they'll just do track damage only. But that's if you can get it done properly and at the proper angles, etc., etc. But yeah, so overcoming the major weakness of this tank at the moment is dealing with the fact that it does not have the upgraded turret. It only has the 10.5 long barrel, so it's going to be more or less just a Tiger II with more hit points and slightly better armor. So with that said, it really comes down to the fact that this thing almost needs to be played perfectly with its side scraping in order to be of almost any effect, because otherwise it's just not going to be able to put out the damage. The tiers that it's facing, I've almost always fought tier 10s. It's going to have a very difficult time penetrating anything with its very weak, and weak is a relative term, but very weak penetration for its tier, only 225 pin. While it seems like a lot, there's a lot of easy bounces these days that I've noticed, especially with this gun, and the fact that I seem to run into a heck of a lot of tier 10s. But that's neither here nor there. So it really requires a lot of precise aiming and dealing with stuff, and this tank, like I said, is not exactly known for being a bully with the unupgraded systems here. So once I get that fully upgraded, it's going to be a completely different tank. That was a delayed shot on my behalf that I wasn't able to actually pin the Ferdy, but sadly I'm just going to have to go and hope for the best through the front armor, which it should be able to if I'm going at the right area of the plates. Now I'm going to get hit here. He hit me through the bottom glacial plate, but I'm having to angle here the best I can to try and take less damage. Have to keep going through like that little hatch, and that's my only hope, is to go through that patch. Now if I can get behind this building here, that should be alright. So yes, I get behind the building and now I can engage into a side scraping mentality. Of course, that Ferdinand. Not quite sure what he's doing. The E75 getting a nice shot into my turret there as I was still turned. Now I have to deal with a low here before I can even get back into another side scraping area, and also having to do with other people as well. Now luckily he's not really looking at me, he's looking at the other guy, so I can put a shot right into him, and luckily I have the building there in between me and him to absorb the shot. I'm a little closer so I can aim through it, and I think he took a snapshot. So going for the lower glacial plate of the low, trying to get out of there, or at least put myself at an angle that I'm going to bounce, and I do so pretty effectively there. Now, the low is damaged. We got a T-95 coming in behind us, but we also have a, what does it say, ISU-152 derp cannon. Now, he shoots me. Luckily, again, I have a great angle. Our JP E100 taking a nice, lovely chunk of his hit points away, so all I have to do is finish him before he decides to hit our JP. And then we're in good shape. Now the JP is saved. I don't know if that was a kill steal on my part, but it definitely helped him out. Now there's a T-95 here who's engaged way too closely. So even though I am quite damaged and quite slow, I am going to track the 95, go ahead and advance past him because I've already made sure he's tracked. Now he doesn't have an ability to repair, or at least he didn't show it. So luckily he gets tracked again by the lorry, which was perfect timing because now I can get in directly behind him and be able to take him and penetrate in the areas where I know that I can actually do damage. Now that was just a bad shot because of angular movement and everything else. But now that I'm perfectly behind him, should not have a problem at all going right through him. I'm at a good angle, I'm able to light him on fire. Now I just have perfect shots all day long right at the back of this tank with nothing behind me to have to hit me and me to have to worry about. So I can take out the 95, doing 3 kills here. There's still a Centurion, which is now dead thanks to the 261, doing a nice little derp action there, and then that clears that match. So there you have it. Even with the unupgraded gun, knowing how to use your armor effectively and just simply taking your chances with some tanks works out pretty well. Let's check out the stats and wrap it up, shall we? We managed to nab ourselves a sniper medal in that one. In addition, we also got the 3rd class there. So getting 3rd class with the unupgraded turret is always like an achievement in my mind. Being able to do that, I mean, top turret, yeah, probably shouldn't have too much of an issue getting it. But doing it with the weak gun, I'll take it. I don't know if it's easy or not, but I'm not going to argue. I'm pretty happy with the fact that I was actually able to do that. This tank is a little on the difficult side when it does not have the fully upgraded equipment, but hey, I'm not arguing with anything I can do. I've had plenty of down matches in this thing where I've potatoed. So going from there, we see that I also got just a nice little Master Gunner and the other medal as well that I always forget, Sharpshooter I believe it is. Hitting 4 tanks, that low I only did a little bit of damage to, but the 95, the Ferdy, and the ISU just destroying, absolutely, and the ISU, of course, that was just a one-shot, being able to just simply finish him off for the JP E100 so he could focus elsewhere, and also he didn't have to take any hits that way because he still would have been loading with his 20-second reload. So we look at the team score. We saw that actually myself and Gilly and the Centurion did top damage. The JP 100 right beneath me doing another 2,000 damage, and the rest of our team right below him doing fantastic as well. We really actually did pretty well that match. That was really well played, and I was concerned in that match. They actually had some pretty good players. So it worked out in our favor, just making some predictive movements, and also, like I said, it's about how you utilize that tank. You might not have the best gun, but I utilized its armor properly. It took me a while to get into the side-scraping positions that I needed to be in, but when I was able to get there, I was able to utilize them and just simply make my tank a little bit more difficult to penetrate, and that really worked out in my favor using all those angles, because otherwise I would have been penetrated and dead long ago, especially to that ISU or that 95 if I didn't run past him in time and get the lucky track shot on him, followed by the derping Lorraine 155 tracking him as well. That was perfect teamwork on his behalf. So we'll move on to the detailed report, and we see 13 out of 13 were hit, and then of course 11 of those were actually pinning for about 3,000 damage. I took 6 hits, 3 of them actually penetrating and doing damage, so it did sustain a total of about, what is that, 3,000 damage? So not too shabby. Of course, I wouldn't want to take any more than that, because a lot of those were penetrating and hurting a lot. So, not a bad little match there. I'm starting to learn these 2 tanks pretty well myself, so eventually I will work up and get them fully upgraded. Well, I'll get the VK fully upgraded. The AT-8's almost on its last leg there. I'm just working my way towards the AT-7 and that fun little tank there. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for tuning into my Let's Play here, World of Tanks, and I guess I will catch you guys in the next episode.